11.
Yeah. Welcome back. We are doing a live recording. What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Curated Topics, brought to you by Curated Sense LLC. So, y'all see the title of the stream tonight. I had a feeling it was about to get crazy in the NBA. I had a feeling it was about to get crazy in the NBA. And guess what? It did. Hold on right quick. I've been checking. I've been using primarily IG, but I've been checking every couple of minutes just to see if there's some updated news. So we had some big things happen today, and I'm going to go through them right quick. We're going to talk a little bit. Probably going to be on stream for maybe about an hour or so, just to give y'all a little heads up. Excuse me if I'm like fidgeting around. I'm still getting used to this chair. I'm not quite used to it yet, so I'm still finding my way with this chair. I keep rolling backwards. But anyway, I am sending my little message off to my homie Aaron Animal. He is my unofficial moderator. Shout out to Aaron Animal. If you have not already, go check out his page. He does live reactions as well. He's doing the AMV variety, that is anime music videos. Also does some gaming. Gaming is on Wednesday nights. I like the gaming ones, man. I ain't gonna lie. I like the gaming ones, especially when he does some horror games. I I'm not gonna lie. So I didn't quite understand this until one day when I actually, did it, and it was watching one of his games that he was playing. I didn't understand how some people they were like, "Yeah, I'll watch you play," and I'm like, "Watch me play the game? That's entertaining." And I mean, I guess so. Like you got cutscenes and the story and all of that, but I don't know. Just watching me play the game, I don't know. That's not what I normally do. So one day, I just tuned into his live stream and I'm watching him play the game, and he's playing horror games. And I come to find out, I kind of like watching people play horror games a little bit, especially when they've got like some funny reactions and stuff like that. So I laugh when the jump scares happen to him because he be into it, man. He'll be into it. He'll be, searching for something and then a jump scare and it throws him off a little bit. And I mean, some of it is probably for show, but at the same time, he keeps it entertaining. So anyway, go check out his channel. That is Air and Animal. And we are about to get on to the topics. But first, you know how we got to do. We doing candle of the evening, just how we do every single evening. This one is a oldie but still a goodie. We got the Classe Azul bottle. Classe Azul bottle. What's the scent in here? Smells so good. That's the clean floral linen. Like I said in my last stream, this is a candle where I will put it in my bathroom and it makes everything smell real nice. It's got that clean kind of like gain scent, but at the same time, it's boosting with florals. So check us out. That's curatedsenseLLC.com. And then we are going to get straight into it. I want to talk about the trade that happened first. I want to talk about that absolutely first. So, I don't think anybody saw this team coming. You see it in the title. You see it in the title. It is. We got Ja Morant to the Portland Trailblazers. Now, like I said before, I don't think anybody saw this coming. I really don't. I don't think anybody saw this one coming. And, I sure didn't. So the teams that I heard, the most around the rumor mill, and let me preface this by saying, like, the I heard, it was mostly like me watching ESPN like the rest of us, or looking on Instagram or checking out, those types of things. I am not within the inner circle, so I don't really know what's going on. All I can do is speculate like the next guy. But anyway, so you heard the team names that were getting floated around. You heard like Miami. We heard maybe Sacramento. I'm glad he didn't go to Sacramento. I feel like Sacramento is one of them teams where it's like NBA purgatory or something. You go there for your career to just be at a standstill. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm glad he didn't go there. I'm glad he didn't go there. That would have been punishment for him. All the other players that we've seen go there, it just doesn't work out for them. Like I don't know why. You know, Sacramento ain't been good since the early 2000s. So, hey, no slight on them, but just I'm glad he didn't end up there. But here's what I want to talk about right quick. So, first of all, Portland came out of nowhere. They really kind of came out of nowhere. And my question is, what does this now mean for Damian Lillard? But also, what does it mean for some of the budding stars who were making a name for themselves out there in Portland? You have Denny Avia. He was an all-star last year. You have Shaden Sharp, and I think he might have been a part of the trade. I don't know. Let me look here. No, it was for Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. So, hey, shout out to Jeremy Grant. He's going to be on a new team. I I lost track of him when he was either on Denver or OKC or something like that, and then he ended up in Portland, and you didn't really hear much from him after that. So maybe he needs a new spot. You know what I mean? But once again, for these budding guys, Scoot Henderson and all of that, what does this Ja Morant trade mean? And then, are there any other moves that Portland is trying to make? Now, I think it was time for Ja to leave Memphis. I think it was time for Ja to leave Memphis. I think that he had too many things going on off the court, too many influences off the court and things like that. I think it was time for him to be in a new city. And I'm not going to lie, Portland might be the right environment for him. Ja likes to do a lot of things and have a lot of fun, and rightfully so. But at the same time, you can't be doing certain things like pulling the yappa out on Instagram Live. You can't do that. You can't do that. And I don't you don't want to be in an environment where that type of thing is even encouraged. I think one of the times where he got caught up doing that, it wasn't even on his live. It was somebody else with their phone out and this and that. And it's like, look, I'm all for having fun. I'm all for having safe fun. But when you doing stuff like that, your friends should know, hey, brother, put the phones up. Put the phones up. Why do we need to capture this? Not even on camera, but on live. Like, brother, people watch, a million people watch you play basketball. Why do you need to be on live again? Why do you need to be on live doing something else? So it's like, I'm glad he got out of that environment. Also, there seems to be like some turmoil going on in Memphis. I don't know what's going on down there, but they've had a lot of weird stuff going on in the last like season and a half. So I don't know if y'all remember, but um, not this past season, but the season before last, 2 seasons ago, they fired their coach like 2 weeks before the playoffs. And they were sitting in like second or third place in the West. It's like, what is happening? Ja was playing well. Ja was playing well. And then they dropped all the way to like, what was it, like 8, 7 or 8? I think it was 8. They dropped all the way to 8 and then had to go up against OKC. Got swept. Ja Morant also got injured in that series. But it's like, why would you make that kind of move 2 weeks before the playoffs? Now, how bad can a coach be when you got 2 weeks of the playoffs left and y'all sitting in like second place? How bad of a job is the coach doing for him to get fired? So it's like, what is going on down there in Memphis? You see what I'm saying? Okay, then the next season, you trade away his running mate in Desmond Bain. And some might argue, on them days when Ja was not performing or when, he wasn't able to play, when he was injured, things like that, Desmond Bain held it down. So then you get rid of him and bring in like nobody. They pick up Ty Jerome. That's a decent pickup, but he didn't play for I don't know how many games. He didn't play for like almost 3/4 of the year. And it's just about that time. It's sometimes it's sad when you have a franchise player like Ja Morant who's got the talent. He's got the talent. He had the potential. It looks like, okay, he's about to carry your team to the promised land, make y'all a perennial playoff team again, and then it just craps out, and it's tough to see, you know. And you see these teams do these types of things where they just discard what they're building so quickly. It's sad. But like I said, I'm glad to see Ja get into a new environment. Here's the other part. We don't know when Damian Lillard is coming back. So this could be a very decent move for the Portland Trailblazers. You now have another all-star talent in Ja Morant, human highlight, can jump out of the gym, quick as hell. I mean, super fast. But now you also have a point guard who You were relying on like Denny Avia and Drew Holiday. And don't get me wrong, Drew Holiday is a great guard. I don't I don't think he's the best point guard for you, right? He's like more of a two or that combo guard. He can bring the ball down, but and he can direct the offense kind of, but he's not like the floor general. Ja Morant is a bona fide point guard. And this is going to make the Trailblazers scary. Um, you can now play him at the same time as Dame, and who knows what Dame's going to look like when he gets back. But also, you know, who knows when Dame is coming back. I hope he's coming back at the start of the season. But now he can say, hey, you know what? I might chill a couple games just to make sure that I'm at 100%. So you got a little bit of wiggle room now if you're Portland. Now on the other side, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about this as well. So let's look at their potential starting five, right? So this is their potential starting five. We got Ja, we got Dame. I don't know who Kamara is, all like that. I think he comes off the bench. You got Denny Avia. Now, I don't see Denny Avia as a four at all. I would actually have Denny Avia at that three spot. I'll have Denny Avia at that three spot. You go and find somebody to fill up the four spot. And then you got Donovan Clingan, who is very tall center, but he also splits the floor as well. So now you just got a bunch of drivers and shooters. You got two slashers in Ja Morant, Denny Avia. Donovan Clingan, he can go out there and shoot every once in a while, but then you got Dame coming back. Dame just won the 3-point contest on a hobbled up leg. We're gonna see what they can potentially do. Now, this is what the Memphis Grizzlies got. They got Ty Jerome, Cedric Coward, Jeremy Grant, Cam Boozer, and Zach Edey. They rebuilding. They not about to do nothing in the West for real. They're not about to do nothing. But this is what I'm interested in. And that's about to bring me to my next point. This is about to give Portland a little bit more room to make some wheelings and dealings. Because Portland is now guard heavy. Portland is now super guard heavy. I think they've got something like 4 or 5, maybe 6 guards that they can use. So they have some trade capital, and I'm wondering who they're about to look at. We've heard that Jaylen Brown has been in the conversation. Now, to talk about that real quick, I think Boston messed up by putting his name in that trade with Giannis. I think Boston messed up by doing that because now all the teams are like, oh, he's available? What's up? Let's talk. And I think it was kind of one of those things where it's like, you see if you can get Giannis, and if you can, you make the move. But if you can't, it's like we didn't really want to trade him. You know what I mean? Like, we was just pump faking. And I think that's going to backfire. But here's the other part. See, now you got it in Jaylen Brown's head where he's like, oh, y'all wanted to get rid of me? Well, I'm gone. And he might go to a team like Atlanta. He might go to a team like Portland where they can really use him. And then it's going to get spooky. Could you imagine him in Portland with Dame and Ja? And he's playing the 3? I kind of like the sound of that. I'm not going to lie. And see, Portland wouldn't have to give up too many players. They might give up some of their picks that they have. But they wouldn't have to give up too many players. And that's what makes it interesting. So, I'm going to show y'all this video right quick.
Ja Morant has been traded to the Trailblazers, and a lot of people are wondering why. But let me cook here. As you can see, now the Trailblazers have a ton of guards. Dame is obviously going to become the starting point guard next year.
Yep.
So that means they have to create some space for Ja. And who have the Trailblazers been heavily linked to? Jaylen Brown. Which, if they do trade for him, they can give up Drew and Shaedon Sharpe to create the money to get Jaylen Brown.
Whoops, my bad, y'all.
So as we know, Ja
struggling
Morant has
streaming.
been traded to the Trailblazers. And a lot of people are wondering why. But let me cook here. As you can see, now the Trailblazers have a ton of guards. Dame is obviously going to become the starting point guard next year. So that means they have to create some space for Ja. And who have the Trailblazers been heavily linked to? Jaylen Brown. Which, if they do trade for him, they can give up Drew and Shaedon Sharpe to create the money to get Jaylen Brown. But the thing is, both Drew and Shaedon Sharpe for Jaylen Brown is not something that the Celtics would accept. What do the Celtics desperately need? Rim protection and rebounding. So then you can toss in Donovan Clingan. It works financially, everybody's happy, except the Celtics also want draft picks. And Portland has one very valuable draft pick that I think the Celtics would accept in this trade. And that is the Milwaukee Bucks 2028 first-round draft pick. Because as we know, they traded Giannis. They're banking a lot on young talent. So now, the Blazers get a starting lineup of Dame, Ja, Jaylen Brown, Denny Avdija, and Robert Williams III if they re-sign him. And the Celtics would get Drew Holiday, a good bench piece in Shaedon Sharpe, a good starting center with a bunch of upside in Donovan Clingan, and a very valuable first-round draft pick. And the money works everywhere. I think the Portland Trailblazers are cooking here, man. So as we know, Ja Morant has been traded to...
So, as I was saying, like, they might be on to something. Now, giving up Donovan Clingan, now they have to go and fill that center position. They do have Williams, who used to be a Celtic. I don't know if he's a starter, though. And that's the question there. Now, there's also some other things going on in the league. You know, you got Domantas Sabonis, who definitely wants out of Sacramento. He desperately wants out of Sacramento. So you could package that up and try to get him. But there's also another thing going on. We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well, going on with him in that aspect. So tell me what y'all think. Hop in the chat. Let's talk about it. What do y'all think of this trade? I think it's very interesting. One, because nobody really saw Portland in the mix for Ja. I think that's because of them having Dame. But now, now what is the next move? You know what I'm saying? Now what's the next move? Because they still have some spots to fill. They definitely need a real power forward. And they definitely need a small forward. So, I mean, I know they have Denny Avdija, and you could play him at the small forward, right? You could play him at the small forward. They still need another forward. And, it could get real scary if they go and get Jaylen Brown. It could get real scary. So, let's talk about some of the other things going on. So I'm just going to move on through to the next video.
West Coast, a lot of talk about LeBron James and his future in LA, but there's another superstar in LA who maybe there's some questions, maybe there's some news about. Who is it and where are we talking here?
Gary, this is a developing story here. The Clippers and the Raptors are seriously engaged in trade talks surrounding Kawhi Leonard going back to the Six, going back to Toronto. Ooh. At the crux of this is the Clippers are moving in a younger direction, and Kawhi has 1 year left on his deal at about $50 million. And my understanding is Toronto is the only place he would commit to on a long-term extension if traded outside of Los Angeles. This gives him a ton of leverage in the marketplace. We know when he got traded from the Spurs to the Raptors back in 2018, he said, listen, I'm only going to play 1 year and 1 year only, and then I'm out. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. He led them to a championship. Mm-hmm. He won Finals MVP that year in 2019. Then he spent the last 6-7 years with the Clippers. These conversations will continue all day today, potentially throughout the rest of the week, and we'll see if a deal comes to fruition.
So it's not
set in stone, but it's reported by Shams, and he got the nod from Woj So we know it's kind of real that talks are happening where Kawhi Leonard might go back to the Toronto Raptors. Now that's interesting. That's interesting. I've also heard some talks of him going to another team. Another team. And this is another team that, spoiler alert, he used to play for. What team is that? The San Antonio Spurs. Now, this is very interesting. Why is this interesting? I don't know if you all remember. Some of you all might be a little bit young for this. But back when Kawhi played for the Spurs, he got injured in a crazy play with Zaza Pachulia, and he ended up sitting out the whole next year pretty much from that injury, and he never really got it went from his being his ankle or leg to then he had a quad situation going on, and he actually kind of fell out with some of his teammates, Tony Parker to be one of those players and things like that, to where it caused a real rift in San Antonio. Tony Parker got either released or traded the next year, and it really just kind of broke the team up. And so, we think, okay, it's about to be Kawhi's team. He's going to lead them to the championship. I think they were in the Western Conference Finals at the time. Then that happened, and then it was just like, oh, man, it sucked. And then the very next year, he wanted out after that year, and he went to the Raptors. Now, when he was with the Raptors, got them a dub. He won them a championship. He is probably one of the most iconic buzzer beater shots in a Game 7 against the Sixers. Probably one of the most iconic shots of this new era, I would say. One of, not totally, but one of. And that led them to the finals. They ended up getting a ring that year. So this is really interesting. We hear that now the San Antonio thing, that was not from Shams, so who knows the level of rumor that is. But from Shams talking about, okay, Toronto wants to look at him. Toronto's trying to make a push. Toronto is trying to make a push. They want to get back to the finals. I think them making the playoffs this year and making it to a Game 7 with a fairly experienced Cavs team, I think that lit a spark in them. I think that lit a spark in those guys. They wouldn't have to give up too much. I don't know if the Clippers would be interested in Brandon Ingram. I think that I was watching Club 520. Shout out to those guys over there. I was watching Club 520 earlier today, and they were talking about how, the Clippers do not want Brandon Ingram. I don't know why they wouldn't, but he's definitely not Kawhi Leonard, but he's a serviceable player. He's a leading scorer on the team. I think that he might have to go. If you're doing a trade for Kawhi, probably try doing a 3-team trade. You package up a couple of other guys, maybe some of those shooters. They've got some shooters in Toronto, so you package up some of those guys. But you put Kawhi on that team, and it is starting to look real scary. Real scary, because they have some budding talent out there, and they're not going to give up Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes was their guy in the playoffs. Brandon Ingram got injured, and really, he didn't really contribute a whole lot when he was on the floor, but he got injured, and so Scotty Barnes is their bona fide number one. So him and Scotty Barnes matched up together, that's real spooky. They still need a point guard. They got Emmanuel quickly. He was also injured last year. I think him coming back would do them well. He kind of reminds me of a combination of Tyrese Maxey and Bones Highland. I know those are two crazy different comparisons, but that's kind of who he reminds me of. That I'm not saying anything about skill, talent, or anything like that, just in terms of what I see in the way that he plays. He's got the speed like Maxey, and then he's got kind of like that energy, that electricity like Bones Highland. But I don't know if Emmanuel Quickly is like a starting guard. But here we go. You know, you keep him. You've got something, right? You've got something. Or you use him in the trade as well. Now, I don't think the Clippers are going to go for that. The Clippers, they I guess they're trying to rebuild too. You know, they've gone a little bit younger. They've gotten rid of some guys here and there. I don't know where the impasse comes between them and Kawhi. Maybe they're fielding trades simply because, you know, like Sham said, he's coming up on the last year of his deal. So, you know, and he's getting older. I think he's like 36, so he'll be 37 or 35, 36, something like that. He'll be 37 coming up next year. And, you know, he's no spring chicken, but here's the thing. I think he had his best, at least points per game performance last season. So he is still producing at a high level. I think they're just trying to field things to see, you know, hey, can we make a trade? Can we go younger? Because I don't think that they see themselves pushing for a championship next season. And that might be what Kawhi wants to do. Kawhi might be like, look, I'm no spring chicken. I'm scoring the ball, but these buckets need to equate to wins. You know what I'm saying? These buckets need to equate to wins. So that might be his thinking on the matter. That might be why, you know, that might be why the Clippers are fielding these trade ideas. That might be why. You never know. But what do we got next? So next, I don't know what this means, so I don't want to comment too much on it. But we've got James Harden opting out of his or declining his $42.3 million player option for next season, and they're going to work on a new multi-year deal. That would be him and the Cavs.
Breaking news in the NBA right now from our own Shams Charania. Cleveland Cavaliers guard James Harden declining his $42.3 million player option for the 26-27 season. The sides are working through a new multi-year deal together, sources tell ESPN. So let that marinate for a second. Vince Goodwill, jump on in here. Your thoughts, James?
So here's what I think. Well, here's what I hope. I'm gonna start with what I hope, and then I'm gonna go with what I think. So I hope that, okay, you're doing this so you can get a new deal, and I don't think this is going to happen, but it somehow equates to James Harden taking less money. That's what I hope. Here's what I think. I think James Harden wants more money. And I won't say it's deservedly so. I would say I understand why he would want more money. You know, he came in, he produced a little bit. He produced at least to help us jockey for position when it comes to getting into the playoffs. We were in the top 4 seeds. So, and, you know, we did beat Toronto, but more importantly, we did beat the number 1 seed Detroit Pistons. And, you know, we've got them thinking. We've got them trying to wheel and deal and make moves as well. So all those things are going on partly because of us. I'm going to talk about the Detroit Pistons next. But here's the thing with James Harden. When it came down to that, and I called it, you know, I said this in one of my videos. I don't know if it was a live stream or one of my recorded videos, but I said this. When it comes down to crunch time, James Harden does not really show up in the same way as he does when the pressure is not on. When it's just a regular season, James Harden can get you 30, 35, 40, 60 points. He can get you 13 assists, 9 rebounds. But when it comes down to the playoffs, when it comes down to the Eastern Conference Finals, James Harden is going to get cooked. When you're winning the game by 22, 24 points, you got 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, James Harden is going to give up 12 straight to Jalen Brunson. That's just how it goes. And so my hope is the Cavs will be like, look, we love you, James. You helped us. You helped us out. We want you here, but we got to get some other guys to offset your fumblings. We got to get some other guys who can offset these 7 turnovers per game in the playoffs. We got to get some other guys who can offset 12 points being dropped on your head in a row in a historic comeback win. It's crazy because the Knicks outdid themselves later on in the finals. But, as I was saying, we need other pieces to offset the bad parts of the play. Now, he's got some good parts of his play. And, he does a pretty decent job. But we need more. We need more. And the proof is in the pudding. When it came down to the Eastern Conference Finals, we got swept. We got swept. And I said it at the very beginning. Our best chance is getting that game won. So, like I said, what I hope with him declining, I want him to get paid, because I want everybody to get paid for the most part. But, get your chicken. I don't want to take nobody's money away from him. But maybe you just take less. Maybe you restructure it so, it looks like more, but on a year-to-year basis is less. That way we can make a move to get somebody else, fill in some of these gaps, and see what happens. Now, here's another rumor that's been going around. Another rumor that's been going around is the Cavs might make a move to sign one LeBron James and LeBron James Jr. Because we all know that LeBron is not going to a team without Bronny. We know this. But also, LeBron, I'm not speaking for him, but LeBron is no spring chicken. He's coming up on those sunset years of his career. Now, whether it's this year, next year, he decides he wants to go until 2030, who knows? But LeBron is, he may be looking for a new team as well. Now, there's another team that is in the mix for that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But, maybe this restructuring with James Harden is leading the Cavs to be able to make some other moves. Now, would I like to see LeBron in Cleveland? For his retirement tour, yes. I know he doesn't want a retirement tour, but let's call it that, his final year. Yes, do it in Cleveland. Do it with Bronny. Do it with Bryce. And shoot, try to win a championship if you can. If we've got the team set up to where you can try to win a chip, do it. Do it. Otherwise, I don't know. Because here's the thing, no matter what, it's all about the money. No matter what, it's all about the money and how much money do these teams have. And with the Cavs, they're paying a lot of people. They're paying a lot of people. So I don't know if that is the best move. They're also talking about doing some trades. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't want to see somebody like Jared Allen go to get LeBron, and then we have that hole at center. If we make that move, we need another center on the team who's going to be like a bona fide starter and things like that. So, I don't know, but we're going to move on. Shout out to the Cavs. I hope that... Do I want James Harden here? Yes, because, he's the best we got in terms of point guards right now. But I hope that they get it figured out so that it works the best for us. That's what I want. Now, I talked about how we gave the Pistons a fit last year in the playoffs, and we crushed their dreams. And I'm happy about that. I am happy about that. I called it. I knew that was the best matchup for us because we had their number the whole season. I think we split the games, something like that. But, you know, they overachieved last year. They really did. They got first in the East, and then when it came to the playoffs, they ran into the beast, which was the Cavs. But here we go. So you got Jalen Duren. He is opting out of his deal, and he plans to meet with the Sacramento Kings for a sign and trade. They thinking about trading Sabonis. Sabonis could be on that list to be headed to Detroit. Now, this is also pretty interesting. Now, this isn't coming from Shams. This is coming from one of them little rumor mill IG. Shout out to them. But, you know, so I don't know how true this is, so don't quote me on any of this. But this would be interesting. Now, the first thing I would say for this whole Jalen Duren situation, if you're deciding to opt out, right, you got to remember, brother, like, yes, you performed well last year. Had a great year last year. You were an NBA All-Star. I think he made, you know, one of the All-NBA teams. The only thing is like, man, you had one good year, and I get it, it's a contract year, so you want your money, but you out here demanding a Supermax deal? Like, listen here, brother, you are not Jokic. You are not. So, like, huh? What are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here? I don't think that's a good move for you. I don't think you should be out here requesting no Supermax nothing. You're not a Supermax player yet. If I were to advise you, I would say you ask for a little bit more money. You know, hey, you deserve a raise. You produced last year. So you ask for a little bit more money, something that makes you comfortable, not the Supermax, and you allow the team to give you that so that you can start to bring in other quality pieces that will help you go further. You all made it to the second round last year, which is further than you made it the year before. But now your eye should be on making it to the Eastern Conference Finals at the very least. To the finals if you really want to do something. That means somebody's going to have to make a sacrifice. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's not going to be Cade Cunningham. I wouldn't want it to be Cade Cunningham. He is the star of the show over there. You are, pause, the twinkle. You're the little pieces of dust that come off the star. And that's a good place to be in. You know, you help the star out. You're like the best, I hate to say it like this, but you're like the best role player on the team. You don't need to be looking for no Supermax. Not right now. And that is the advice that I would give to him. It'd be like, hey, look, take a raise. Take a pay raise. But you gotta leave room for them to do something else to get some other players. They need some other players. They need a couple more bench players. They just got rid of Isaiah Stewart. They need somebody who's going to fill up his role as that backup forward, backup center guy. They need, I don't know if they're going to still rock with Tobias Harris, but I would say they need a small forward as well. I would look at maybe Aaron Gordon out of Denver. Try to get him. He's a seasoned veteran, NBA champion at this point. Still got a lot left to produce. He's a little bit older, but he still got a lot left to produce. Not as old as Tobias Harris. A little bit more athletic than Tobias Harris. Get you rebounds and all of that. And if you can work it out to where you don't let go of Tobias Harris, you can have Aaron Gordon playing the 4. You can have Aaron Gordon playing the 4. So it really just depends. I would say, once again, I don't think Jalen Duren should be trying to get the Supermax. And as I said at the beginning when I was talking about the Ja Morant trade, I was mentioning how Sacramento was interested in Ja Morant. Well, if I'm Jalen Duren, or if I'm talking to Jalen Duren, anybody in his camp, they need to tell him, hey, brother, Sacramento is where you go for your career to be in purgatory. It is where you go to be stagnant. Stagnant. Why you think De'Aaron Fox got up out of there? Why you think Sabonis is just, we ain't heard his name in a long time. They got rid of Tyrese Halliburton almost immediately, and look at what happened with him. He went to a new spot and blow up, she waited. Blow up, she waited. You know what I'm saying? So I would not want to go to Sacramento. Zach LaVine is out there in Sacramento. DeMar DeRozan, Russell Westbrook. We ain't heard nothing out of any of those players. I would not want to make Sacramento the place where I went willingly. Now, if you get traded out there because you just got traded out there, you got to make the best of it. But to be like, nah, I'm going to go meet with them, no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I got to correct myself. I said they hadn't been in the playoffs since the early 2000s. They made it to the playoffs one time, I think in the last, 20 or so years. And it was when they had De'Aaron Fox and DeMontis, and they lost in that Game 7 to Steph Curry. And Steph Curry was on their court talking about light the beam. Where's that light the beam? It ain't going to be the same, man. It's spooky over there. It's spooky over there. It is. We're not going to hear from them another 15 years. They're not going to do much. I'm talking about they had DeMarcus Cousins wasn't doing nothing. They had Tyreek Evans wasn't doing nothing. They've had so many players there, and it's just like purgatory. It's one of them teams where you're like, what is happening? What is happening? So for him to be like, yeah, I want to go meet with them, if the rumors are true. Now, once again, I got that off the rumor page, so I don't know if it's real. But for him to do all that, somebody in your camp needs to tell you, hey, bro, you realize the Kings ain't nothing, right? You might just want to take this pay raise and be cool in Detroit. Don't be looking for no Supermax. Don't do it. Do not do it. Okay. So next, another one of the little rumors is that Jonathan Kuminga might be out in Atlanta. And one of the suitors for him might be the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I don't absolutely dislike this. Once again, this is from a rumor page, so I'm not exactly sure. But it has been reported that the team didn't pick up Jonathan Kuminga's contract. So that makes him an unrestricted free agent. Now, I kind of feel bad for Kuminga because it looked like he found a home in Atlanta. It really did. It looked like he had found a home in Atlanta. So I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe he wants to play a bigger role, and understandably so. He was producing for them. He was producing a little bit in Golden State when he got the chance. He just wasn't getting the chance in Golden State. But with Jonathan Kuminga, I don't think with that team he's not going to be a starter, right? With that team, he's not going to be a starter. And that's what he really wants. Now, if he was to come to Cleveland, he could fill that small forward position, maybe be that or the backup power forward for Mobley when Mobley goes out. And he would actually be a good little piece for us. He's a good slasher. Strong, can take the ball to the hole. He's got a decent little mid-range jumper. I'd like to see him develop a little bit more, maybe get a little bit more handles, get more consistent with his shot. He can be a little streaky sometimes, but coming in at that like small forward position, that might not be a bad idea. Now, would he start over Max Strus and, all that? I don't know. I don't know if I would have him starting really on any team. It might be like, look, bro, you're going to have to prove yourself. Go out there, get most improved. Go out there, get 6th man of the year, something like that. And then we can talk about starting. But right now, you need to be that guy coming off the bench. And there's nothing wrong with being that guy who comes off the bench. You can still be, you still got that guy in your name. It's just off the bench. I think that is part of the issue for him. He wants more of a role. He wants more responsibility. Hey, you got to go out there, put in the work, develop your game so that you can get that responsibility. Because otherwise, it's not going to happen for you. I think now some other teams where he might be fit in, where he might be good. He might be good up there in Portland. We said Portland they need a bona fide forward. He might be good up there in Portland. And that might be the spot where he actually could get a starting job. That might be the spot where Kuminga could actually get a starting job. And to see him, he's pretty athletic. To see him with Ja Morant as well. And then you got Dame. So whenever these guys are going down to the hole, they can throw him a quick lob or something like that. Ooh, I kind of like the sound of that. I don't know. That might be something to consider. There's some other teams out there who need small forwards. That small forward, power forward kind of combo. There are some teams out there who need it. Clippers could be one of them. And he would definitely start there. He could definitely start with the Clippers. So, hey, I would tell him, weigh your options, but look at some of these teams, man, where you still going to have to develop your game. No matter what, you're going to have to develop your game. And tell me what y'all think. What do y'all think of Kuminga? Where do y'all think he should go? What are some teams you think he should be on? Drop it in the chat if you're still, listening. But let me know, because I want to brainstorm that. He's one of those players where, with a little bit of development, he could be really, really good. Like, really good. We'll see. So, let's move on to the next one. Now, we haven't talked about them yet, because they haven't really made too many moves. They are what I would call riding a high right now. They just won the NBA championship, and they just re-signed one of their bigger contributors in Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet is going back to the Knicks. He got a 4-year, $24 million deal. Shout out to the Knicks. Shout out to Landry Shamet. Hey, man, he earned his spot with the team. He made himself valuable. He was knocking down clutch threes. I mean, clutch threes. When you needed a three to help get them back in the game, Landry Shamet was there. When you needed a three to put them over the hump and get them to lead, Landry Shamet was there. If it wasn't Jalen Brunson or OG, when you needed a three to keep them ahead, Landry Shamet was there. He had like the best playoff 3-point percentage, I want to say, in like NBA history. He was somewhere up there like 55 or 57%, which is crazy work. That is crazy. He might be the Knicks version of like Robert Horry. I don't know if I want to go that far, but he might be the Knicks version of Robert Horry or something like it, right? Something like it, because he would touch the ball. And here's the thing that got me. So I'm a Cavs fan. So, unfortunately, I had to sit through that sweep. That's how I'm going to put it. I wanted to use other words, but I had to sit through the sweep. And it was like every time Landry Shamet would get the ball, and I'm like, why is Landry Shamet open? Why are y'all not guarding him? He's going to make it, and he sure did. It seemed like, to me, I didn't really see him miss ever, and it was annoying. But, hey, like I said, shout out to him. He has secured his spot with the Knicks at least for another 4 years, and he's getting his chicken now. He's getting his chicken now. 4 years, $24 million. That's not bad. That's not bad for a player who has his role. He's not. I don't know if he was their sixth man. He might be like seventh or eighth, but even still, with his role, he's a decent defender, knockdown shooter. What they call it? When he used to play for Golden State, I think, and they call him like the splash cousin or something like that. He really is. He really is. So shout out to him for earning that spot. Shout out to him for re-signing with the Knicks, and happy to see it for him. Good job on you, brother. Happy to see it for him. He is back. Now, we going back to the Clippers right quick. We are talking about somebody who is probably forgotten about. And it's really sad because the last couple years have just been turmoil for my guy Bradley Beal. But it is saying that the Clippers declined his player option for next season, so he's going to be an unrestricted free agent as well. Now, where could Bradley Beal go? And this is actually coming from Shams, so this is official. It's coming from Shams, so this is official. But where could Bradley Beal be going? Where would he fit in and help a team out? Now, this is kind of interesting, right? This is kind of interesting. Bradley Beal, now, he's been injured the last couple seasons, so it's hard to say what his production is going to be like. He's the consummate professional. When he comes in, he tries to produce. But with him being injured and things like that, who knows what's about to happen for real. And I'm kind of interested. Now, if you in the chat, do me a favor. If you watching the stream right now, hop in the live chat. Tell me, I want to know what's a team that y'all think Bradley Beal would be good on. What's a team that y'all think Bradley Beal would be good on? Also, hit the like button for me. Hit the like button. Hit the dislike button. If you're not having fun, hit the dislike button. But hit something so that I get some engagement. Pause. That was crazy. Pause. But hit the like button for me. But also, drop something in the chat. I want to hear from you all who are watching. What's a good team that you think Bradley Beal would be on? I'm trying to think right now of who could use a shooting guard. I know the Mavericks are potentially looking to let go of Clay in a trade. They could pick up Bradley Beal. That would be interesting. Him and Kyrie. He might want to make his way back to Washington now that I think about it. Now that I sit and think about it, he might want to make his way back to Washington. Take the veteran pay or whatever, go back to Washington, play with Trae Young, see if Anthony Davis is willing to stay. We're going to talk about him as well because there's some rumors around his name. But see if Anthony Davis is willing to stay. You got AJ Debinsa, who just got drafted there. That could be a good move for them. Pick up Bradley again. Never know. Now, is his time done over there, in Washington? Who knows? But I still want to see him in the league. He was a very productive player. I think he still has some more to offer. I just think for him specifically, it's about being on the right team. Now, here's another thing, and I'm just now thinking about this kind of as I'm talking, but let's say the Celtics do let go of Jaylen Brown. you got Bradley Beal, who's an unrestricted free agent. Now, I'm not trying to help these teams out or nothing because, that's be making it tough on my Cavs. But I'm just saying, and right now in his career, Bradley Beal is no Jaylen Brown. But I'm just saying, like, doesn't sound too bad. Doesn't sound too bad. If you're a team kind of like Brooklyn, you might want to go after him. I don't know if he wants to go to Brooklyn. I don't think that Bradley Beal wants to go to a team where he doesn't want to be in purgatory. I'm telling you, Brooklyn is purgatory. They like the Kings. They just like the Kings. They made it to the playoffs more recently, but they're just like the Kings. It's dark over there. It's super spooky. It is. I feel bad for Julius Randle because it's about to be a pain over there. It's about to be a pain. Now he's gonna be back in a position where he can score the ball, and he's probably gonna be number 2 again. But whew. But as I'm sitting here thinking, I'm wondering, okay, where could Bradley Beal go? Where could Bradley Beal go? These are all good questions. He's an unrestricted free agent right now. So it's a lot of teams who need a shooting guard with his capabilities. He can shoot that. He can shoot that ball. There was a time where Bradley Beal was among the leaders in points per game. I think he did lead a season in points per game when he was with Washington. So I'm trying to think, but like where could he go? Now what if I gotta look up their roster right quick? I'm gonna look up their roster right quick before I even say the name. Oh yeah. What if he went to Houston? That would be a decent spot. They don't have anybody listed at the shooting guard position right now. You got KD, you got Sengun, Amen Thompson, Reed Shepard, he's point guard, Fred VanVleet, point guard, Steven Adams, Tari Eason is power forward, Jabari Smith Jr. power forward, Clint Capella, J.D. Davison. Yeah, you've got nobody who's really just shooting guard. So what if he goes down to Houston? Now also as I'm saying this, I'm thinking about it. How well does he get along with KD? How well does he get along with KD? Because that could be the spooky part. Also, what if he goes somewhere like Denver? That would be interesting as well. Now, they've got Christian Braun as their shooting guard, but Christian Braun's not about to score all like that. You know what I'm saying? He's not about to get you those type of points. I wonder. And I'm brainstorming, so I wonder how that move would go. I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think. What team would Bradley Beal do well on? I'm looking at another team right now. I don't think he would. Nah. So I just looked at Indiana's roster. I don't think that would be a good move for him. And honestly, while I'm talking about Indiana, somebody who could go back to Indiana and probably do well. Somebody who could go back to Indiana, PG, Paul George. Paul George could probably go back to Indiana and do well with them. You know, they've got Siakam. Siakam plays either the 3 or the 4. But Paul George could actually go there and potentially do something for them. That would be interesting. That would be super interesting, actually. So I'm wondering. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone to see if any new reports came out. It's looking like no so far. But, this is interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. So let's move on. I want to talk about the next, big old rumor around the NBA. I'm about to show y'all at what we're looking at. This is what we're looking at right here. We've got Steph Curry, Draymond Green, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, the unibrow, all on the same team together potentially. This is a rumor. This has not been confirmed yet. But what we are looking at is a potential blockbuster. Potential blockbuster. Excuse me. And I am changing the title of the stream right quick. Had to add that in because this is what I want to talk about for a good while. Whoops, I am struggle streaming. I got y'all looking at me all types of different times. My bad. But here's what we want to talk about. We're looking at Steph Curry, and LeBron has a way of kind of orchestrating some things during the Olympics. If you know, you know. I'm talking about that Miami move. But LeBron has a way of meeting with guys when they play together during the Olympics. And in the last Olympics, he and Steph Curry were seen having quite a few conversations. And they played together. They got a chance to play together again. And it looked like they were having some fun. And ever since then, there has been speculation on, hey, could we ever see LeBron James and Steph Curry playing together? Well, might not be too far from the future, if you know what I'm saying. So, super rumor, but it has been rumored that the Warriors are looking to make some big moves. They might be trying to get one LeBron James. Now, we also got to throw in there LeBron James Jr., because I truly don't think that LeBron is going anywhere without Bronny. But also, they may be looking to make a move for Anthony Davis. Now, right now, Anthony Davis is with the Washington Wizards. And the Washington Wizards, they're another team where they're kind of like purgatory. It's like rebuild city over there. And they've got Trae Young, but they don't have much else. And so AD may be looking to never even, suit up in their uniform. He may be looking to go. And so this would be very interesting. Now, what I will say is this. The Warriors just re-signed Kristaps Porzingis. And that is according to Shams. So I'm going to show you all that right quick. So according to Shams, free agent center Kristaps Porzingis agreed to a 2-year deal, $40 million contract extension with the Golden State Warriors. And so they did lock in the unicorn, which is Kristaps Porzingis. This makes it very interesting. They have some pieces that they could move. I hate to say it, but Jimmy Butler. We can see Jimmy Butler be moved. We can see Al Horford be moved. Brandon Podziemski. They've got Gary Payton, the third. They have some roster pieces that they can let go of to make this move happen. And that's what makes it kind of interesting. What's the other thing that makes it interesting? Well, we also saw Draymond Green declined his option to where he could be taking a pay cut. He could be restructuring his deal to take a pay cut, and that would help make room for these players to come in. The Warriors declined his $27.7 million player option, so he'll be a free agent, and this gives them the flexibility to pursue LeBron James in free agency and Anthony Davis via trade. So the question is, one, would Draymond Green stay? Probably would. He probably wants to finish out his career as a Warrior. I don't think he's going to necessarily look to take the big payday. You never know. But, sorry about that. But I think this would be interesting. Now, the other thing that's interesting is the history that LeBron James and Draymond Green have as being competitors with one another. Is going to be real interesting to see them as teammates. Real interesting. If that happens, it'll be real interesting to see them as teammates. I'll say this. You ain't going to see Draymond Green throw no punches in practice on LeBron. That ain't happening. LeBron will be like, hey, I ain't Jordan Poole, brother. I ain't Jordan Poole. You ain't going to get that off. So it's going to be interesting to see those two egos on the same team if it were to happen. But with this move, once again, LeBron's not getting any younger. It's going to be his 298,000th year in the league. I'm just playing with you, LeBron. But at the same time, hey, this is the move where it's I want to win and I want to win now. Now, the only thing that I would say that they would want to do, or that I would like to see happen, if you get LeBron, you get AD, you got Kristaps, you got Draymond, go and get Clay back. Go and get Klay Thompson back, because things ain't been right since he left with him, and just bring him back. Even if it's to be like, hey, Klay, you back for the nostalgia, baby, but bring him back, because Klay needs to be back in a Warriors outfit. It's weird seeing him with other jerseys on. I don't like it. I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. Klay was the best thing that ever happened to that team, aside from Steph Curry. But, there was plenty of times where Klay carried them on to the next platform, onto the next round of the playoffs. And he helped them get over the hump. So, I appreciate it. Aaron Animal came into the chat. Shout out to my boy. Yeah, hit that like button for me. We got like 30 views or something like that. I know y'all ain't staying super long. You want to hear if I'm talking about Ja Morant. I talked about him in the beginning of the live, so go check out the beginning part. But yeah, hit that like button for me. But anyway, with this move with LeBron, now I'm gonna ask Aaron Animal. I'm gonna ask you, since you're in the chat, what do you think about LeBron James and Anthony Davis going to the Golden State Warriors? There have been rumors throughout the league that the Warriors are looking to add LeBron. Draymond Green just took a pay cut. Earl, what up, Earl? Shout out to my hen dog sister. Earl, what's up? But there have been rumors that the Warriors are looking to pick up LeBron James. I think this is interesting. I think this is real interesting. I think that LeBron, we know he wants to win another championship. We know he wants to win another championship. LeBron has what, 4 now? He got 2 in Miami, 1 with Cleveland, 1 with LA. Yeah, LeBron's sitting on 4. Steph Curry sitting on 4. They want another one. They both want another one. They both want to win now, and that would be probably the best chance for them to win now is if they teamed up. Teamed up, they did one for the old heads and then go out champions. But we've seen that story before. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about the LA Lakers. We saw the link up, the quote unquote, the Avengers link up before with the LA Lakers. And I'm talking about way back in the day. So this was Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, Gary Payton. And it was looking good up until the finals, and they lost to my Detroit Pistons team at the time. And I was with the Pistons because they won by committee. They didn't have a bona fide superstar. They really didn't have. All those guys became stars after that series. And I'm going on a super tangent right now, but that's that Lakers team is kind of what this potential Warriors team link up is looking like. So Aaron Animal, he's in the chat. He said, and bring him to Cleveland. I talked about that earlier in the video. I talked about that earlier in the live where I'm saying Cleveland might try to make a move for LeBron as well. And that would be interesting too. Anywhere LeBron goes, I put it like this. Anywhere LeBron goes, Bronny is going as well. LeBron's got that kind of power. He's got that cachet right now. So he's going to tell teams, look, we are a package deal. You don't get one without the other. So you need to be prepared to make room for my son. The other thing that he's going to do when he talks to these teams is tell them, hey, you better make room for my other son, because Bryce will be coming out to come to the NBA at some point, Lord willing. So we're going to see. This is going to be pretty interesting. We're going to see, hey, is it, what team is it going to be, and are they going to be willing to have those two spots? Because you're going to have those two spots if you want LeBron James. Now, the other part is Anthony Davis. Are the Warriors going to be able to secure Anthony Davis? And like I said, right now, they've got some trade capital. They've got Jimmy Butler, who they could move. I don't know how attractive Al Horford is for, trade value, but, you could throw him in there. You got Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody. You really can throw in whoever you want aside from that core four. Now, with them just re-signing Kristaps Porzingis, I don't think that he's going to be on the move. But they only signed him to a 2-year deal, so you never know. He could be thrown in there too. If you get Anthony Davis, do you keep Kristaps? I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know who I would want to have, because I don't think Kristaps is going to want to come off the bench, and I don't think Anthony Davis is either. Now, that is the other part. Would Draymond Green come off the bench? You start Kristaps and Anthony Davis, then you use Draymond Green, and between the three of them, you just massage their minutes. Pause. Who knows? This has been an interesting day for the NBA. Just a quick recap. We talked about how the Portland Trailblazers, the unexpected guys, traded for Ja Morant. So Ja Morant is now on the Portland Trailblazers. And yeah, we're going to see. Now, real quick, I talked about some other guys. I talked about Kawhi Leonard. I talked about James Harden and the Cavs. Talked about Landry Shamet and the Knicks. We talked about a plethora of players. We talked about some different scenarios. We talked about where somebody was going to go where. And I'm going to answer Aaron Animal's question in the chat right quick. He said, side question, were you able to play the takedown at UVH 10? Yes, I was. I played it at UVH 10. And I was on a roll for a minute. I tried to get the platinum reward, and I did not get the platinum reward. I think I got like the first one. So is that silver? Whatever the first one is, I got that one. But or it might not have been any of them. Yeah, I was able to skip. I was able to skip ahead. I also started the Zane mission, but I'm not really all that far. I got tired and took a nap. I definitely had to take me a little bit of a nap, so I did that. But I did start the Zane mission. It's cool so far. I will say this with the Zane mission, the enemies are a lot stronger, and they pile them up on you. Yeah, man, I had to take me a nap, man. I got off of work today, so today was a rough day at work. I ain't gonna lie. Today was a rough day at work. I actually had to correct somebody while I was at work. They thought they was gonna come at me with some attitude, and I was like, "Hey, yo, I'm not with that attitude stuff today. I'm not with that attitude stuff any day, but like definitely not today. It's Monday. I know that it's Monday for you, but it's Monday for me too. So you got to keep that attitude and save it." And I handled it well, but I had to let them know. So I got off of work and I was like, "Man, I'm tired." And then it was hot outside. I took me a nap. Brother. But I did do the takedown at UVH 10, and I did start the Zane mission. I might go back and run the UVH 13 or something like that. I don't know. I will say this. It was weird because like it seemed like I was flying through it and like I was gonna get the platinum, and then somewhere along the way, I don't know what happened. It just started taking more time. I was trying to run through everything, but I think it was when I hit those like 3 bosses, they actually took a little bit more time than I expected. And then everything after that took a little bit more time. But leading up to them, I was looking pretty good. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna get back to what we talking about on the sports side. So, like I said, we talked about the Ja Morant, talked about LeBron James and the potential for him to go to either the Cavs or the Warriors. But I want to move on. So we know that LaMelo Ball got traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and this is coming from the rumor mill as well. We got a potential for John Collins to be going to the Timberwolves. Now, as I just opened this, I see this old funny gift comment of John Collins getting dunked on by Ant. Now that would be funny because that was probably one of the best dunks I've seen in a long time. And I mean, dang, he threw that down on him. Pause. But I think this is interesting. I think this would be an interesting pickup for them. John Collins, he's a decent 3 shooter. I want to say he's more of like a corner 3 shooter. And then he's just a strong power forward. You're going to need a guy like this. And with the Timberwolves, I think he would fill that position. Excuse me. And I think he would fill that position a little bit better in terms of team chemistry than Julius Randle did. With Julius Randle needed the ball in his hands a lot. He's kind of like that. He's not a point forward, but he's like kind of like a point forward, if you know what I'm saying. He does those little ISO moves quite a bit and things like that. So I don't know how well that gelled with the team all the time, especially in the playoffs, because you can't play that ISO ball all the time in the playoffs because teams are onto that. So I think with them picking up John Collins, I think that's a pretty decent move. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I think that's a pretty decent move. I think he would fill in pretty well. He's also going to help you on the defensive side because he's pretty solid, even though he was in that gift getting dunked on. But that's different. That was Anthony Edwards. Now you have Ant on your team, but also you got somebody for LaMelo to pass the ball to. You got somebody for Anthony Edwards to pass the ball to. he doesn't necessarily spread the floor, but it opens up other parts of these guys' games. So that's kind of where I find it interesting. And I want to see what happens with that. If it's true, I think that's a decent move for them. Any other team that I think he should go to? I can't really think of one right now. So I don't really know, but hey, I hope he lands somewhere, because he's one of those players where he can sneak around and get you 18 to 20. You know what I'm saying? And when he was on the Hawks team with Trae Young, they were kind of a 1-2 punch. You saw Trae Young really get into his playmaking bag with John Collins on the team. And I didn't understand why they really broke that up, but that's neither here nor there. That was a couple years ago. So all these free agency moves, all these free agents are very interesting right now. And I'm about to look at a list of the free agents from this year. I'm just going to go to the free agent tracker. I'm interested to see who all is available. Reports came out Jose Alvarado plans to re-sign with the Knicks, so that's good. DeAndre Ayton is supposed to pick up his option with the Lakers. I think Harrison Barnes might re-sign with the Spurs. A lot of these other names are people I don't really, I mean, I know them, but I don't know them like that. The Spurs re-signed Julian Champagnie. I think that's good for them. He kind of reminds me of Danny Green, where, he's that 3-and-D kind of guy. Although I will say he does need to work on that defense. That defense it was spooky against Jalen Brunson. But that's, Jalen Brunson cooked everybody. And like I said, his new nickname, and it should be what it is, just around the league, market it, all of that. And if you do market it, hey, send me some money, because I'm not the one who came up with it, but I'm putting it out there as an idea. The Brunson burner, it works. It works. The Brunson burner, it works. Aaron Animal, tell me what you think about that nickname, the Brunson burner. That, I think it's fire, and no pun intended, but I think it's fire. Anyway, we got some interesting free agents out there, and there's a lot of them too. Like, there's a lot of free agents right now. So we're going to see where they go. I'm going to talk about the move that the Cavs just made. It's not big or anything like that, not a big name, but guy who played and was serviceable for us, and that was Thomas Bryant. He was a pretty decent backup for us last year. He didn't get the most playing time throughout the year. His playing time was pretty inconsistent, but when they called his number, I thought that he did fairly well. Now, he did have some up and down games. He was a little streaky sometimes, but the Cavs, he performed to a level where the Cavs are going to re-sign him for a 1-year deal. And I think that's good. He's a guy who, he's been on some teams that have made it to the finals. He's been on some teams that have produced, and so he can be that guy coming off the bench for us. Whether we keep Jared Allen or whether we Aaron Animal got me dying. He said, I don't know. I mean, but you could know about the nickname. The nickname sounds good. But anyway, Thomas Bryant, he's a guy who he did all right for us. So good to see him come back. Good to see that he earned a spot with the team. That's the kind of stuff that I like. That's the kind of stuff we're looking for. We need you to be serviceable. I like that he is a big body and will get rebounds, things like that. And yeah, so we shall see. Now, I want to talk about the Miami Heat right now. He said that's a good nickname for sure. See, I told you. I am going to add to the I just added a little bit to the stream title, talking about the Heat, but they have some rumors that are pretty interesting as well. Now, I'm gonna start with the first one because I have said that these two players should play together for a long time. One player reminds me of the other, but one is just taller. And I would be super interested to see them play together. And who am I talking about? I am talking about Russell Westbrook playing with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, this is coming from one of those rumor mills. This is a rumor page. So I don't know, how real that this is. But it says that the Miami Heat are showing interest in signing Russell Westbrook. Now, he was signed to like the veteran minimum contract. So not taking up too much money. He's probably not going to be your starting point guard, although I think that he could. And like I said, so I have compared Giannis to being like the tall Russ. And I think it's pretty accurate. They both have. Westbrook is a phenomenal playmaker. Giannis has some playmaking abilities as well. They both are incredible slashers and finishers getting to the hole. I think that's something that, we have seen over the course of both of their careers. But imagine this, right? Excuse me. Imagine this. Imagine you got Russell Westbrook, like, coming down on the break or just coming down in general, pause, and then throwing a lob to Giannis? Russell Westbrook throwing a lob to Giannis? Dare I say it, it might actually be a little bit reminiscent of one Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. Who knows? Now, they are both not, they're no LeBron and D Wade. But I'm just saying, like, that would be crazy to see and crazy fun to see. You know what I'm saying? Like, let Russell Westbrook just be like, hey, if you still got it in the tank, let loose on that 100 miles an hour going downhill, and you just lob the ball up to Giannis, who's also going 100 miles an hour. That's going to be crazy. I can imagine it now. You got Russ like throwing it off the backboard, Giannis coming out of nowhere, jumping over somebody and dunking. Like, it would be fun to watch. So this is a move where I kind of hope this happens. I don't know if y'all remember, but like, back in the day, and I don't know if they still do this because I haven't played in a long time. I really don't play sports games the way I used to. But man, back in the day, I used to be on the 2K, and I'd be doing all the little different trades and things, and I would just simulate seasons just to see what happened, because that's how much I like basketball. I like to just play around and have fun and see what's going to happen. And I put Russ and Giannis on the same team. And I'm not going to lie, I played with that team, and it was crazy fun. Nobody could stop Giannis. And then really nobody can really stop Russ either, at least at that time, because he was in his prime. But like, Russ still has his athleticism. He still has speed. He still has strength. So, and he still adds value to the game. Could you imagine Russ like easily getting double doubles every night, passing the ball to Bam and Giannis off the lob or however they want to get it. Pause. That was a little crazy. Pause. But, him actually really digging deep into his playmaking bag, utilizing his playmaking abilities a ton. That would be crazy to see. There's also another rumor going on with the Heat where they might bring in one of Giannis's favorite players. Who is that? Chris Middleton. And also looking at Klay Thompson. So now you're talking about getting two bona fide shooters, legendary shooters, onto the court as well. If they're able to get these three players, it's going to get spooky in the East. I'm just telling you, it's going to get spooky in the East. If they're able to get these three players, right? And I might see if I can put this in the as like a live chat question for 520, see what they think about it. But that might lead them at least to the finals. They can get some little decent bench players, some decent role players to come in as well. So you've got Giannis on the Heat. I know they were going after Ja, but that didn't work out. But you got Giannis, you get Chris Middleton, you got Klay Thompson, you got Russ, and you still keep Bam. That's a pretty decent starting five right there. Okay, we got Russ at the point, Klay at the shooting guard, Chris Middleton at the small, Giannis, and then Bam. And then all your other guys, you got them coming off the bench. Now, I don't know if Davion Mitchell wants to come off the bench. But, hey, you just sit him down and have a conversation. Or you have him start and you have Russ come off the bench. And Russ can do his thing. Russ is the consummate team player. Russ is like, you know what? If I have to come off the bench, I will. And, you've seen him do that in a couple of roles on some different teams. He did that with the LA Clippers. Actually helped them be a solid team. He also did that with the Lakers. He did that with the Nuggets, and he did that up in Sacramento. So who knows? You get him to come off the bench. He is the consummate professional. He buys into your system. He be down there with Spoelstra and Pat Riley. Ooh. See, I kind of like the sound of this. The more I talk about it, I kind of like the sound of this. This is going to be an interesting free agency with all these trades going on and all these things, and this is the crazy thing about sports in general, but also the NBA. One move can create just a domino effect, a cascade. And we're seeing that live right now. And it's drama central, but it's just so interesting to see. So finally, the last team I'm going to talk about tonight is the Oklahoma City Thunder. So they are finalizing a trade, and this is according to Shams, to send Aaron Wiggins to Atlanta for 2 second-round picks. Now, I told y'all in the last either stream or two, man, the Thunder figured a way out to get some picks. And they're one of the only teams who you can say successfully do it. They do it successfully at this point. And it is just interesting to see the moves that they make, because who knows what that's going to turn out to be. These picks are coming in the 2032 draft, 2030 and 2032 draft. Like, come on. We talking about 4 to 6 years ahead. This is crazy. Hey, but they are planning for the future. Now, Aaron Wiggins, he did pretty well for them as a bench player. It frees up some of their money. But also, like I said, now they planning for the future. But they also did another thing. They re-signed Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, I talked about that after their draft of the one guy from Michigan. Hold on, let me look up his name right quick. I don't like to butcher people's names. Where is he at? Ade Mara. So they just got Ade Mara in the draft, and now you sign Isaiah Hartenstein. Like I said, they are rebuilding, and they're planning. They want to return to the finals, and they want to win. Excuse me. They want to return to the finals, and they want to win. And so they're re-signing Isaiah Hartenstein, who is a very serviceable center for them. He's a very serviceable center for them. Plays his role, plays hard, plays with energy, plays defense. He's got a little floater that he's been working on, and it is doing well as well. So he is that serviceable guy for them. And they want to keep him around. He helps keep that locker room chemistry, team chemistry going. So, that's why they re-signed him. And I think they're putting themselves in place to not only continue to be a powerhouse in the West and then compete for a finals for the next few years, but also put themselves in position for the future. And, hey, this is going to be interesting. So, as we see, there were a lot of moves that were made, in the offseason already. And we're not even halfway through. So I'm going to keep going through the sports as we see things, move along. I'm also going to be dropping a recording video this week. We're getting back to the emotional intelligence topic. Finished up my notes. I'm going to work on that video tonight and tomorrow. Hopefully have it edited to come out either tomorrow night or Wednesday. That is it on the NBA rumor mill for today. We talked about the Ja Morant trade. We just talked about what OKC was doing. We talked about what Miami could be doing. We talked about what the Cavs are doing. Golden State with LeBron and Anthony Davis potentially going to Golden State. That's a rumor that's going on. Talked about how Aaron Animal wants to see them come to the Cavs, which, hey, that's also in the rumor mill for LeBron at least. We talked about Jonathan Kuminga. We talked about the Kawhi Leonard possibilities. Kawhi Leonard could possibly be on the move. We also talked about Bradley Beal and where he's going. We covered Jalen Duren and the Pistons. So we talked about a lot of players today. We also talked about James Harden. We talked about what the Trailblazers could be doing, and could they be going after Jaylen Brown? That is up in the air as well. So drop your thoughts down into the chat. If you watch this on replay, drop your comments down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I am going to end it out with some highlights. Since we had the breaking news today, let's pay a little bit of homage to Ja Morant. We're going to look at some of his highlights from when he was in college at March Madness. And that's how we're going to close it on out.
Hammers it home. It's a jaw jam.
The jaw jam is crazy.
Ja crossing over, rocking the cradle, and creating for Shaq. No screen. It's all Ja. Step back.
Good shot.
Shaq. Oh, Ja. Position. Morant has another rebound. And Ja. Speed. Buchanan hammers it home. Back into the hands of Morant with Joey Hauser and Brendan Bailey.
Cross two of them. Good pass. That was a nice pass.
All eyes on 12. Step back. Second three for Ja Morant. They've left him. Switching on their ball screening action. Step back, Ja. Again. The fourth
No, I ain't seen him do a whole bunch of that in the NBA. I want to see this step back a little bit more.
Behind the screen again. Rattles it home. The tournament's 2 leading scorers.
Let's look at that dunk again. Yeah.
It's a jaw jam.
Hey, a jaw jam is crazy. But that's how we're going to end it on out tonight. If anything happens tomorrow, I might hop on a live stream for tomorrow. But I want to say thank you all for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, we had 56 views today. That's not bad for a live stream from me. You know, usually I'm sitting somewhere around like 2, 3, 7. But hey, thank you all for joining in. Thank you for tuning in. Like I said, if you got any thoughts, drop them in the comments. If you watch the replay, drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get engaged. I want to talk about some stuff. I want to engage with my audience, but also, you know, I want to talk about some of these rumors. I want to brainstorm a little bit. So make sure y'all check me out. Make sure if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Shout out to all my subscribers. And, you know, thank you all for tuning in once again. Hope you all have a great week. Happy Monday. And as I always say, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace. I got some closeout music for y'all.